The Hawaii Sports Radio Network on 95.1 FM and AM 760 presents Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani.
Good morning, beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den alongside Paul Brecht. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani. Welcome to the show on this holiday Monday, Aloha Monday on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and of course streaming live on our YouTube channel. So thank you guys for joining in. If you are live, especially on this holiday, and hope most of you, if not all of you that are tuning in, do have the morning and the day off to enjoy your holiday. But as you guys know, over here, we are pretty much hashtag no days off, especially once we get into the full-blown sports season, which we are now. So hence why we are here with you guys this morning. And wouldn't want to spend my holiday morning any other way. We got the blood flowing really early, kind of failure on my part to completely plan entirely for the holiday. You know, I figured, hey, well, I mean, we're working, so shouldn't everybody else be working, and shouldn't all of the gates be open like a normal work day? But no, that was not the case. And but fortunately, we've made it here, and we made it here just in the nick of time. And yeah, thank you to everyone for staying home because the traffic was fine. But Paul, how's the blood flow this morning? We got fired up right in the beginning.
Thankfully, a little bit less than you. I didn't have to jog in per se, but my blood's flowing still. Definitely ready to go, ready to chat about what was a filled weekend trying to get my watch to work. The time wasn't on there, so that's why you have this horrible eyesore on YouTube that you can see on my watch, or my watch tan line, I suppose. But overall, excited to be in here. Like you said, wouldn't really want to spend my holiday in any other way. You know what was funny? My wife was like, "Do you work tomorrow?" I almost was offended, I was like, "Really?" She's like, well, you guys took like 4th of July off, and I don't know, she said another one. And I was like, well, the 4th of July, I had a bachelor party. That one, Well,
and it's not, like I said, it's no days off when it's the full-blown sports season. 4th of July, not so much.
Well,
so
also,
it's
right,
okay.
It's the summer, it's whatever, and blah, blah, blah. We're locked in now. If we miss a show, it's something very bad has happened, or it's like, I guess, a super major holiday, because I don't know. Yeah. I guess we don't do Christmas.
No. Christmas, New Year's Day, we don't do those.
Well, anyway. But no, I'm excited to be here, excited to chat about a bunch of stuff. I think a couple days post Hawaii football loss, I think I am a bit more calm now, a bit more back into the positive Paul mantra, back more into the positive Paul mindset, but definitely was a rough weekend overall for not just UH football, just UH sports in general, it felt like.
Yeah, that's so true. And I actually kind of wanted to, that's kind of where I was going, where I'm like, all right, I feel like Monday, post-weekend, post a lot of losses, except for women's soccer yesterday. So shout out to women's soccer.
Huge.
It was a draw. So it was a nice way to at least not have all losses for our UH team. So it's almost kind of like we have our little therapy session right today, because let's talk through some stuff. And if you guys want to join in on the conversation, right, feel free to text us or chime in on the live chat, as I know Caesar and Felipe are doing over there. But you can text us at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481. We also got I kind of put a little poll on our Instagram story, which we did get some replies and reactions to the game. So shout out to you guys that replied to there. I said we would talk about some of your comments. Obviously, this was yesterday, so again, it's a little bit still within the maybe not cooled off period yet. So trust me, I was going through it on Saturday. And the fact that Paul was actually like kind of going through it as well was telling, because he's usually the one that talks me off of the ledge immediately. But it took a little bit of time. And I'm like you. I'm like, now that we are a couple of days or almost a full 48 hours removed from that game for football anyways, I'm definitely in the positive Paul mindset now for sure, because it wasn't pretty, right? And I think the thing that is on everybody's mind as well following that game, not only did Hawaii just gets annihilated 40-6. But also, again, we saw Micah Alejado, QB1, go down, and everybody is just like holding their breath to see what happens. But coming up on the show, we will let you guys hear some post-game comments from head coach Timmy Chang. Also from Micah Alejado, just a little snippet on his general thoughts on the game. And surprisingly, he was made available after that game. A shout out and mahalo to Brian Bautista, one of our, I guess, contracted photographers that we have with our station that was there at Arizona to shoot all of those cool photos that you guys saw on our website and on social media. We'll also get into some women's volleyball discussion. The Rainbow Wahine opened up their season and just 3 losses. But I don't think, you know what? I'm like, we got talent. So we'll talk some Rainbow Wahine volleyball coming up. Also get into that women's soccer game. And, of course, week 1 of college football. There was a lot of stuff going on, a lot of games to recap, especially in the Mountain West and some of those results. But first, want to start off with the high note, Paul. We'll get into some of the takeaways from the game, but I'm going to pose it to you first because we want to start off this holiday Monday, my birthday eve Monday with the high note. So I'm going to toss it to you first. Give me, I know it's going to be hard. I know there's multiple positives from everything. So in general, you only get one each. One positive takeaway from the football game and one from the UH game and one positive from college football in general. So because I already had time to think about this, I'll go first. So you can, remember, only one for now, just to go and start this show on the high note. So
I like that. I like that.
My positive from the UH football game, I think with a lot of people, has to once again be Kansei Matsuzawa. And of course, just the special teams unit in general. They had kind of like that fire drill ending for that first half. And he was calm, cool, and collected. Never a doubt. Pretty much right down the middle, as accurate as you can get. But Kansei and that special teams unit from the snap to the hold, able to get it off on time. It goes in there. Kansei has been scoring all the points for the last 4 quarters now of this UH football game. So considering the highlight and the stories that we had last year of the rest of the country finding out how he learned to kick, Kansei Matsuzawa and that special teams unit, definitely, at least for the kicking unit, on my positive takeaway from the UH football game. Again, we'll get into more other things, but we only get one to open up the segment. My positive. And going over to the full week 1 in college football, my positive, and maybe not positive if you're an Alabama fan, but other than that, I look at it as a positive. A couple of reasons why. One, Alabama getting upset by Florida State. I have a good friend that's a Florida State alum, and he went through it last season. All Florida State fans did. So Florida State down year, and to start off this season, and then the whole like DJ Oengalele thing and the experiment that didn't go anywhere. But Florida State able to upset Alabama in week 1 of college football. But there's more. A reason why it is my huge positive from this weekend is because we saw the final college game day for Lee Corso, and he went a perfect 6 for 6 on his picks. One of them being Florida State, because if you guys don't know, Lee Corso was actually played for Florida State as well. So full circle moment, college football game day. Last one for the legendary Lee Corso. Not only, again, did he go perfect on all his picks, he also picked Ohio State. That's another full circle moment. But the fact that he picked Florida State, he's like, it's my school. Pretty much the rest of the panel, all Alabama. He's like, it's my school. I got to go with Florida State. And they won and they upset it. And I'm like, you know what? As this college football fan that I am, like, I love that moment for Lee Corso. And I love that for everybody else that are college football fans, except sorry for any of the Alabama fans out there. Oh, but, oh well, what are you going to do?
So Alabama's just not Alabama anymore. And I feel bad saying that because, like, DeBoer was, like, a fine coach for Washington and whatever. But, I mean, it's just different over there right now. And Johnny Manziel was on a podcast talking about it. I think it was with Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco, or Chad Johnson. What is he now? Is he still Ochocinco? I actually don't know. Like, that's me. I legitimately don't know. I actually love him. I think it's Chad Johnson. I think, again, whatever. I appreciate you leaving my college positive for me to use.
I know which one you're going to use.
You very much so could have taken that, and I would have found another, but I will use that one specific one. I'll go with Hawaii football first. I'm kind of going between a couple here. I know what the stats say. I actually was kind of positively, I don't know, kind of surprised by Luke Weaver. I thought he had some good moments. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the pick in the end zone can't happen. Obviously, the handoff, the botched handoff that turns into a fumble, that stinks. He had a second pick, but that one was not as egregious as the one in the end zone. But I thought he showed some good ability with his legs. I thought he made some nice throws. He showed a nice connection with our boy Tama Uliata. Which was another positive that I was kind of bouncing between. So there, I kind of gave you two. I cheated your rules by giving a shout out to Luke Weaver. But overall, like, I understand the stats were not pretty, but I did see enough positive things, I thought, from Luke Weaver, where if Micah does miss a game at some point this season, I would feel comfortable with Luke Weaver stepping in for a game against a lower level opponent, obviously. Yeah. There was a reason why we were like, with Micah, definitely think that we could, healthy Micah, we could definitely cover. If not, all of a sudden, like, against Arizona, sure. Against, like, Sam Houston, against Portland State, those are teams that I'm like, oh, Luke Weaver could absolutely pilot us to a victory in those. I thought that was a positive. And then, while we're talking about quarterback play, Ko, I mean, how could we not talk about my boy? Jaren Keave Songapolutele just put on a show in his debut for Cal. It's awesome for everybody here in Hawaii who loved watching him all throughout his high school career. Obviously, the all-time leader in passing yards in Hawaii high school football history. He goes off and has this whole back and forth with Oregon and Cal, and eventually falls where he was always meant to go in Cal, and you see why, what is it, Cal Aloha and the Cal algorithm and all these things, why they were so excited for him, because he was phenomenal, completes his first 6 passes for 2 different touchdown drives. I mean, I don't think he had a bad throw all night. Everything was put on the hands. Just a statement, an announcement to the nation that he is here. He's continued to get like extra praise from both NFL draft analysts, who I very much so respect, and just national sports media. He was a portion of the Pat McAfee show this morning where they chat. It's very funny to hear him try and say Jaren's name. He was close. He said Saga Polutele instead of Songo Polutele, which obviously, if you don't know, it's a little more difficult. He tried his best. They did get the Jaren Keave part, which, you know what? That is a win in itself, and it was part of the segment that was like, while you were sleeping or in case you were sleeping type of thing. Yeah. And it was him and another quarterback that we actually are pretty familiar with, and Devin Dampier, the former New Mexico quarterback who is now at Utah. I suppose he had a pretty awesome night as well. But yeah, my boy Jaren Keave Songapolutele making me look really smart for all the insane takes that I've said about him in the past, where I truly, truly believe he will be the first player that I covered that will go to the NFL from high school, which is dope.
Woohoo! And there probably will be a few others, but definitely when you cover a quarterback, because there's so much media attention on that position, it's going to be insane. My first was definitely Tua Tagovailoa. Covered a little bit of Marcus, but that was kind of when I just had started in the sports media world, so I didn't cover him necessarily in high school, and then we know he wasn't like kind of like a breakout freshman like we see with Jaren, and then Tua having his moments when he did in college, so a little different. But yes, for sure, Jaren Keave Songapolutele, if you guys missed it, 34-15 over Oregon State. And it was beautiful. I encourage you guys to watch some of the highlights. We'll definitely talk a little bit more about that game and some of the other week 1 takeaways, especially games that happened in the Mountain West. And a couple of future opponents for Hawaii, including one this Saturday, were in action against each other this past weekend as well. So there is a bunch of college football talk to get into. But, of course, we want to stick with the home team. And you heard some of our main positives, even though, yes, Paul wanted to cheat the rules a little bit. But there are still a little bit more positives to take away from that game against Arizona on Saturday. So we're going to take a break. And then when we come back, we'll get to more of our takeaways and let you guys hear a quick post-game comments from head coach Timmy Chang when we come back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
No matter
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network and streaming live on our YouTube channel, getting now fully into our University of Hawaii football conversation. By the way, though, shout out to Felipe and Caesar having their normal YouTube conversation in there. Also, Justin Baptiste joining us in the comments as well. So hello to all of you guys. And thank you for the early birthday wishes. Again, yes, not just my birthday, but of course, the Queen, Liliuokalani. Her birthday is also on September 2nd. So I'm very fortunate to celebrate that birthday the same day as the Queen. But thank you guys for all of your early birthday wishes. But come on, man. Like, I'm not 40 yet, and I'm pretty sure you guys are around my age or somewhere. And we got to drop this anti-coup stuff. My goodness.
Well, she wants to be sister.
I'm sister coup to all of you guys, right? Like, unless you are, well, I can't even say if you're in college still, because we got Billy Gowers, who's 29, and if you're 29, you cannot call me auntie.
The high schoolers can call you auntie. That makes sense.
Micah Alejado can call me auntie. It's fine.
Micah
right?
Alejado can probably say just about whatever he wants as long as he's healthy. That's at this point, he can call me uncle. I don't care. Doesn't matter. I just hope he's healthy. But yeah, with you, I suppose, I don't know. I like to call you auntie every once in a while, but that's just because I think it's funny because, I don't know, sometimes you have auntie moments, but,
I do.
You're sister.
Yeah.
Your sister.
I don't know. I don't know who has more auntie-uncle moments, me or Michael, because sometimes the jury's out.
Both
and since
of you.
he's not here to defend himself, we can totally talk about that. So
True.
he gets his moments.
True, both of you.
But again, shout out to you guys for the early happy birthday wishes. I appreciate it. But getting into some UH football, again, taking a look, Hawaii falling to Arizona on Saturday, 40-6, going out there in the road game, suffering, can't get over that hump, having that significant road win just yet for the University of Hawaii. But you know what? My apologies with Arizona. I was not completely familiar with your game because that was really impressive on their part. But sticking with us, however, the interesting thing with this game is that the final score is not entirely, this is where the eye test comes into play entirely. Because if you look at just these short team statistics, right, they're relatively even between Hawaii and Arizona. I mean, Hawaii did what they needed to do, actually controlled that time of possession almost 10 minutes more than Arizona in that instance. And total yardage, Hawaii, 290, it's not horrible. Of course, we're used to them getting a little bit more, but we're
290 versus a respectable P4 opponent is not
Exactly.
anything to shake your head at.
You know, passing yardage, we saw Hawaii continue to move the ball consistently. The unfortunate thing that happened was way too many drop passes. I mean, what was it? The second pass of the game from Micah Alejado to Nick Senecal was a drop that should have been there, right? Like, so there was all of these little things, but for the most part, Hawaii did their job, especially with Micah in there moving the ball around. And I think when we saw that Micah was going to be healthy or active in that game, one of the things for me was like, all right, I had it in my mind that if he's playing, that means he's definitely close to 100%. And what happened last week was just maybe just a little banged up in the foot and whatever. And then we saw what happened in the third quarter again. And then Luke Weaver had to come out. But for the most part, Hawaii was able to move the ball around again, like you mentioned, against a power conference opponent. We had some stops also for our part, but it was just too many self-inflicted mistakes for Hawaii's part. But before we continue our conversation about some of our added takeaways from this game, want to just let you guys hear a brief little clip of what head coach Timmy Chang following that 40-6 loss to Arizona, and it just starts with his general takeaways.
We had our chances, and I think when we go look at it, and we're just critical of our mistakes and where we can get better and learn and grow from this experience. That's the main thing. We just want to continue to grow, but you can't give Arizona all those mistakes that we made and expect to win games. So. They did a great job, and we got to do a better job. It wasn't a clean game. We pride ourselves in not giving up errors, and we don't want to hand games. But today we didn't play our best ball, and it felt like we gave away things that we shouldn't have, and you can't do that against a powerful, good team like Arizona.
At the end there, you had a bit of a lengthy conversation with Coach Brennan. What did he tell you?
He's very encouraging, and he's been one of my guys. He's been a guy in my corner, in this coaching role and profession. I consider him a close friend and mentor that I can have discussions with. About on and off the field issues or things that pop up and how to solve them and things he's been through. So very respectful man that I admire and love, and hats off to him. I wish him the best of luck this season.
Particularly losing Micah. What's your thoughts on how he's going to be?
I don't know yet how Micah's going to be. He's just we gotta go see. But he came in banged up. But he gutted it out and played tough, and so, we'll just see where he's at.
How healthy was he going into the game?
I don't know. I think he's healthy enough to play.
Uh-huh.
I think we, he wanted to give it a go, but he's going to be fine. I think he just got stepped on, and at the point where the game was, we had two red zone turnovers right there, and so, at that point we wanted to. It'd be better if we started to, get the idea to protect him and get him ready for this next three-game stretch that we have coming up.
And I guess it's also important to kind of get some reps, game reps.
Yeah, we want to be in that game. We want Micah healthy. Luke getting experience helps, but not at the cost of what the game, what I thought the game looked like and how it got away from us.
I was going to ask you about Kanse being the bright spot for you guys and also completing that fire drill field goal right at the end of the half. So talk about that one.
Yeah, what a great job by him. He continues to be, and we want him to continue to be lights out in situations where he gets a chance to kick a field goal. And so he's been lights out, and that was a great fire drill that they ended the half with.
Yeah, shout out Kanse again. They ended the half with, again, Hawaii able to put up a pair of field goals in that game, their only points, and just, it's weird because it's hard to say they couldn't find the end zone because they could. It's just not ending the way that they could have with the drop pass. But that Clam Barfield one, that I felt that
I
hit,
would not expect
that Cam
anybody
Barfield.
to hold on through that one. I would want them to. I would be pumped if they did.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is fair to be like, oh, how can't you hold on to that? Because also in a way it was kind of a hospital ball. Just put him in a spot where he was able to get crunched 2 different ways. But either way, and that's a good point by you where it's like, it's not like this offense didn't have any success throughout the night. It's not like they didn't move the ball against this Arizona defense. It's not that opportunities weren't there. It's just that the critical mistakes were the critical mistakes. 5 turnovers, 5 sacks. It's just not something, it's not a recipe that Hawaii has been able to overcome before. We saw it last year against Utah State when they turned the ball over 5 times. It was a blowout. Like, it just, you have to take care of the football, especially when you're on the road, and Hawaii just didn't do that. They didn't capitalize on their opportunities because they did create their opportunities.
Yes.
And they had a bunch of them. I thought Landon Sims played really, really well in this game. I thought he was extremely productive, both on the ground and as a little dump-off target for either Micah or Luke Weaver later in the game. I thought that he showed a lot of good things, and he can do, if he can have that type of production against Mountain West opponents, that starts to go a lot further, especially because I would expect you to be able to put up better numbers offensively against Mountain West opponents.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing, right, it showed its ugly head when we talk about that offensive line, especially. I mean, Micah not only getting injured or injuring himself a little bit more in the third quarter, but he was just always under duress. And to Arizona's credit, they were sending guys, especially in that second half, right? Like that was, they knew that the offensive line on Hawaii's side aren't the strongest, and they knew our quarterback was a bit weak in the sense that he was potentially dealing with that injury. So they were going to force whatever they could. So to Arizona's credit, defensively, I mean, they were sending everybody. I don't know how many blitzes they sent, but we couldn't handle it. And Micah sacked 4 times. And again, when we felt like we were driving, it just didn't entirely go our way. I mean, we had a couple of lost fumbles and 4 interceptions. So taking care of the football, not just preventing some of those turnovers, but also, as we mentioned, I mean, it just felt like a lot of these really good passes just resulted in drops. And you're just like,
God,
what is going on? Is that what this game is going to be? And that's what it felt like. Again, I want to say it was like that second pass. Again, Hawaii's first drive, 3 and out. But we could have gotten that first down because it was right there to Nick Senecal. He probably, if my memory serves me correctly, maybe only had 3 more yards to go had he caught that ball, and it would have extended that drive. But 3 and out for Hawaii's first drive, and I'm like, all right, maybe it's not going to be one of those games. It's just, hey, it just happened that time. But then we saw drop after drop after drop. And again, not that Cam Barfield one doesn't entirely count in my opinion, just because he got hit really hard.
He had a much worse error later in the game.
Yes. So it was all over. And that's the thing. You thought, okay, maybe it's going to be a bad game for Nick Senecal. Maybe he just has the lack of having hands in this road game. But then it was starting to hit everybody. And when you can't, as we were saying, when you can't take care of the football entirely, you're fumbling. Micah's always under duress and when he's not 100% healthy. And then throwing these interceptions. Again, not all interceptions are created equal, but nonetheless, you're giving the ball up, especially when you're that close to the end zone, when it could have at least resulted in a field goal. It's just all of these things. And as we just heard from Timmy Chang, I think it's our same sentiment. It's just, we just got to take care of the football. You can't keep yourselves in the game when this stuff happens. Catch the football and take care of the football. And please, defensively, the defense isn't entirely scot-free, because please make some tackles. My goodness. We were starting to see one of those games where we saw a lot last season, where it's just we can't wrap up correctly, and we just let the Arizona guys get another like 3, 4, 5 yards, which ends up being significant, right? Like, you're just like, just tackle him. If you just got him here, they wouldn't have got that first down. And it's just it was just really all out of sorts. And it just adds to the whole, narrative where it just seems like Hawaii, for some reason, when we go on the road, the equilibrium gets thrown off or something, and it's so significantly different from what we see when they play at home. And hopefully somewhere in this season they can figure it out. But like we were saying earlier, depending on what the health status is with Micah, we at least got to see Luke Weaver, and he was able to hold his own for that good portion that he played, which depending on what happens this week and what we hear, at least, especially with these next two opponents, he will be quite adequate to have in there.
Quite frankly, Sam Houston is not close to the talent that Arizona is. So
and not
even
close
if
to what they had last year.
Yeah, so even if he plays this week, it would be a step down from what he would see, which would make you feel a little bit better. Just to build off your point, according to PFF's premium stats, there were 5 wide receiver drops, or I guess 5 drops by Hawaii throughout this game. It felt like 5 million throughout the entirety of it. And, some of those drops were really, really backbreaking. An opportunity where you have to move the chains, an opportunity where you have to, get a little bit closer to the end zone. And we also had a few penalties where that's also the case. I mean, you'd think to the end of the half when it was a fire drill, I thought that Hawaii was going to score a touchdown on that drive, a nice little pass to I believe it was Carson Papunu that ends up getting called back due to penalty, and instead they got to settle for a 41-yard field goal, and that ultimately ends up being the final points that they score throughout the night. To add on with the defensive thing, it wasn't good enough. Just quite frankly, it wasn't good enough. And it's a group that I have higher standards for, that I know they have higher standards for. And it wasn't. They had 7 missed tackles, once again, according to PFF. I would imagine that number, if you go back and watch, might actually be a little bit more. Missed tackles by what they register as a missed tackle is a little bit different from what other people might think of. But either way, this is a defense that did not have its best, could not stop the run, and because it couldn't stop the run, it had much more trouble stopping the pass. It did not make Arizona one-dimensional. It just allowed Arizona to continue its offense throughout the night. And there were moments that I thought the defense actually did play very, very well. They ended up forcing 4 punts, and it was more so in the first half where I thought they started to kind of figure things out. And unfortunately, you have a turnover out near midfield and then a quick score after that, and then the wheels kind of came off afterwards. But, I mean, there was a point in the second quarter where Hawaii was driving to take the lead.
Yes.
So, this is not a game that was completely lost and by the wayside from the very start, and Hawaii was just totally outclassed. There were positives to take from this. There were moments where you're like, oh, Hawaii can compete. But at the end of the day, there are less bodies that we have compared to Arizona. We did not capitalize on the opportunities that were there, and we allowed too many big chunk plays or explosive plays. Can't win a game on the road like that, especially against a P4 opponent. It was disappointing, but at the end of the day, this was something that we also kind of projected. We projected that this was going to be a loss. You hoped that it was going to be a little bit closer, but it was projected to be a loss. You'd come back, you reset, you hope you're as healthy as possible for Saturday, and you got to go out and you got to win against Sam Houston. It's just the fact of the matter.
Yeah, and to emphasize your point about it felt like we were in it. To remind everyone, I mean, going into the halftime, it was 17-6. I mean, I was sitting there seeing what we saw in the first half and Hawaii's ability to move the ball. Again, this is pre-Micah going down, but you knew he wasn't 100%. They did slow down the tempo compared to what they put out there against Stanford. So that's how I kind of knew initially that he wasn't healthy, because it just wasn't the same up-tempo type of offense that we saw from Stanford. They really slowed it down, and that was part of the game plan, of course. You didn't want Micah moving all over the place. He didn't have exactly what we saw, again, when Stanford game first happened. But nonetheless, 17-6, I went into the halftime it's okay. We got this. We're going to turn it around. We'll get it figured out. Halftime adjustments. Let's go. And then, it just kind of went to poop in the second half.
Wheels fell off.
And that's what we saw. Before we go to break, we did get a text message. This one saying, in my honest opinion, a less than 100 QB1 was not going to beat Arizona.
Agree.
No zip on his throws and no threat to run. Any D1 coach can exploit UH weakness. Again, we saw that because they were sending everybody with those blitzes that they kept showing to Micah, and he just could not run away anymore. Also continues, stats didn't tell the whole story. Mistakes and inability to score in the red zone. Time of possession is fine if you're ahead, but does no good when you're chasing. Losses 100 on coaching staff. Game planning with a healthy QB2 would have been better. Not to say that they would have won. And you know what? I don't entirely disagree with the texter.
Fair criticism.
Yeah, and we haven't even gotten to that because I wanted to talk about the game.
We'll chat about that more
in general, but we'll talk about the whole quarterback situation and our opinion on how that was handled, because we will also let you hear from what Micah Alejado did have to say after that game. We are going to take a break, though, and when we come back, we're actually going to switch topics for a little bit, but talk a little bit about the Rainbow Wahine volleyball team. Same thing. We're going to kind of give more of our positive takeaways. Again, Hawaii not able to come out with any wins to open up the season in this first few games, but there's still a lot of light, I guess you can say, with this new/young team. But we'll chat Rainbow Wahine volleyball when we come back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den, Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel. Hello to everyone for tuning in and chiming in on the live chat, or you can continue to text us at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481. We'll get into more of your texts about the game, and then also I know we had some messages come in on our Instagram as well, so we'll get back to University of Hawaii football coming up a little later in the show, but wanted to touch up a little bit on some of the other UH sports that went on. Rainbow Wahine volleyball also opened up their season in the Hawaiian Airlines Wahine Volleyball Classic, in which Hawaii just, they had some bright spots, and we see some of the talent that this Rainbow Wahine squad has. However, they just let out all the gas in that first game against Marquette, again falling in 5 sets to open up the Hawaiian Airlines Wahine Volleyball Classic. Then got swept by Utah State and then got swept by San Diego last night. But was still able to be very competitive in that game. Again, Marquette, looking at some of the set scores, if you guys missed it, 25-27, 17-25, 34-32. That's when we were watching it. I was kind of like keeping track when we were out covering the high school football game. 25-18 and then 15-9. Marquette able to do relatively well. They were able to beat Utah State in 5 before the Hawaii and San Diego game. Again, San Diego is dubbed the Hawaiian Airlines Volleyball Classic champion. And Hawaii still, like I said, had their bright moments. I think my biggest positive is the pure athletic talent that Hawaii volleyball has on this team. I mean, Chalet Reed.
I was going to say her name.
Chalet Reed. Like, she was, I don't remember, now I know they're not exactly the same position, but I feel like we didn't see that type of power last season, right? The last time I remember seeing that is with Amber Igidi, in a sense. And Chalet Reed, and Coach Robin said in the beginning, she has the power, she has the athleticism, now it's just fine-tuning it. And she still has a little bit more to fine-tune, but my goodness, what a first few showings by Chalet Reed. Same thing, she had some aces yesterday watching that San Diego game. she's impressive, and she looks even better in a person, like just that sheer power that she brings to this Rainbow Wahine squad that isn't necessarily the same in what they have all around. So that was good to see. I do love how Arquette's style, I think they still need to work on the chemistry between the setter and the hitter, but she does have a different, I guess, the short set and style than what we saw from Kate Lang. It's a little more familiar than what we're used to. Very, okay, I don't want to put this like standard all the way up there, but very reminiscent to kind of like Robin Amo and the way that she does like the back sets and these really quick sets with her hands. A little different from how Kate Lang was. So I think the talent is there, and kind of like when we talk about height, Paul, like you can't teach height, you can't teach athleticism. Now it's just a matter of figuring it out, because it's just, they're same like football. There were just so many mistakes, the serve receive, the passing, and you could tell also by Robin's reactions on the sideline that Coach Robin was not happy, but because there was just too many mistakes and messing up. She's like, but understandable, because you feel like this team is better than what you're seeing in front of your eyes. And maybe some of it, I know they don't like to hear like the whole youth thing, but it is like not only youth in age, but youth in them as a unit, right? Like figuring things out. I honestly think they'll be fine by the time we get to the Big West slate because of that pure athleticism that they have. But they just got to figure some stuff out and limit some of those mistakes and get better at the passing. But hey, back to the drawing board. But again, I think all in all, very entertaining team to watch, and they'll figure it out.
Part of me feels like Robin would be an awful poker player. Like, I feel like her poker face would be awful. But then, like, the other part of me, like, this is an Olympic level competitor, so she'd probably figure out a way to, like, get her face in check while she was playing poker. Totally off topic. Well, not, I guess, totally.
No,
but
it's true.
But I do agree with you, and I understand they don't want to hear the oh, this is a youthful team argument or excuse or whatever it may be, and I'm glad they don't want to hear that. But the fact of the matter is, it is a young team. Some of your best players are underclassmen. A lot of these players did not play together last year. It's a group who is unfamiliar with one another in game settings, and we saw that kind of in the spring as well, as they worked against some good programs and they had some positive moments, but still were figuring things out, and we saw that in 3 matches to open up the season against 3 more good programs, you know, and like you said, I am not worried for Big West play yet. This is a team who has so much talent, so much ability, so much athleticism, so much height, whatever it may be. It's just about putting the pieces together, and I do think that they'll be able to do that. You kind of saw it on night 1 against Marquette, where they took the first 2 sets and they almost swept, and like that's a quality team in Marquette, and it just kind of ran out of gas. And who knows, maybe if the match doesn't go so late, fans don't have to leave, maybe the energy stays in the building, maybe you're able to pull it out in 5 sets instead of fall in 5, whatever. These kind of similar to OIA play, like we've talked about before. It's not that these don't matter, because they absolutely do. But these are games, these are matches, these are contests for you to go out there and work on yourself, see what you need to improve by the time conference play gets in. Because realistically speaking, I mean, the Big West isn't a conference that typically gets multiple bids. And if they do, it's 2, right? So you're going to have to figure it out. You're going to have a great postseason, a great regular season, and all of this stuff. So they have time to figure it out. They got to figure it out quickly, but the talent is there. Chalet Reed is somebody who, holy cow, man. Like, she is must-see TV. Yeah. I thought Stella Ademi, by the way, also had a really nice weekend. I thought she came in and she's looked improved. I thought her defense is a bit better from last year. I know that was a big thing she wanted to work on as well. I think there are some really fun, like, service moments that this team had throughout the weekend. So there's a lot of fun, there's a lot of good, there's a lot that they can build off of, but also at the end of the day, you know, moral victories are just that, moral victories. They don't count in the actual win column, and they're 0-3 after the first weekend, and that's a little bit weird for a Robin Amo-led squad.
Yeah, just a reminder, though, if we want to go back not that far, Hawaii did lose their first 3 games back in 2022, in which they also played San Diego in the 3rd game. When you kind of go look back at the 2022 schedule, they opened up at the Texas A&M Invitational, fell to Texas A&M in 5, got swept by Pitt, and then got swept by San Diego. Kind of sounds familiar of this opening weekend. In 2022, they won the Big West Conference Championship and went on to the NCAAs, and then they fell to LSU. But it's, again, I believe in Coach Robin. When I saw the talent that was out there, I'm like, you know what? We'll be fine, because it's hard to teach athleticism and just pure talent. So I think they'll figure it out. And Coach Robin has proven time and time again that her and her coaching staff, they know how to get this team playing to its full potential. So, of course, it was frustrating to see. We never like to see losses, but just from what I got to watch on Spectrum on Friday, a little bit of Saturday's game, and then from what I got to see in person against San Diego. Again, all quality teams that came in for this tournament. So I want to make sure people know that these are really good teams. Again, San Diego in that 2022 year, they were ranked number 5th in the nation. So they always put out good volleyball teams. And then Marquette was in there with Utah State. Utah State is interesting for Hawaii to play. Now, obviously, Hawaii won't play them when we do go into the Mountain West next year, but at least you kind of see some of the level and the athleticism of that competition. But all of the games, Hawaii was still competitive and had their moments. So no worries at all. They'll figure it out. I have trust. The only thing that is unfortunate is Tally Hawkes did exit the game yesterday, had ice on her shoulder, on her hitting arm shoulder, and didn't go back in. So hopefully everything will be okay with her. But we did see what's her first name? Sorry, Mane go in. She did
Tyler.
really well. Tyler she went
Reese,
in. Tyler
sorry.
Reese Mane. Yeah, excuse me. She went in yesterday. She had a lot of bright moments against San Diego. So we saw some of the other, again, talent showing that there is some depth where if we don't have Tali, then, hey, we can put in some other young women to go out there and take care of business. So it's exciting. We get more women's volleyball this weekend again. Outrigger Invitational. San Jose State coming into town. They play them on Thursday. Friday is Utah Valley. And then Sunday against St. John. So we encourage you guys to go out there and support Rainbow Wahine Volleyball, because this is going to be a fun team. We're calling it right now and going, Chalet Reed, like Paul said,
dude,
must see TV, but also in person. It was a whole different animal when I got to see her in person yesterday. I'm like, woohoo!
Can't
Look
miss
at
Chalet.
that power.
I need to come up with something clever for her. I can't miss Chalet is like fine, but I can do better. I'm gonna figure something out. I don't know what. It's not gonna be right now, but I'm gonna figure something out for you. And you guys are going to make it stick.
Sounds good. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk some high school football, and then we will get back into some UH football as well when we come back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ule Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760. HawaiiSportsRadio.com, and of course streaming live on our YouTube channel as we do this and every Monday. And yes, shout out and thank you for everyone tuning in on your holiday. Hope you guys are enjoying your day off. And if you got to work just like us too, well, welcome to the club. Again, hashtag team no days off when we are full blown into the sports season. And we are talking through some of our post-game comments from some of the University of Hawaii sports that we saw this weekend. We will get to more UH football, I promise, coming up to start things off in hour number 2, especially to get our thoughts of the decision to play Micah Alejado and what we saw happen in that game. And I'll let you hear a little snippet of what Micah had to say following that game. So we will get back into more UH football. So if you want to text us, feel free, or chime in on the live chat. Text us at 808-888-KG1. That's 808-888-5481. A bunch of comments all over the place. We will get back into it. But I do want to touch a little bit on some high school football because there was, just like it was week 1 of college football, there was a ton of high school football action this past weekend. Woo! Football! As you guys know, we were out covering the Moanalua and Nanakuli game on Friday. Moanalua, what a high-scoring game, but Moanalua able to come out on top 49-35 in that game over the Golden Hawks, and it was just back and forth and back and forth. If you guys missed all of the action, you can listen to that game on demand wherever you get your podcast or at HawaiiSportsRadio.com and just click on the OIA Sports tab. We're still determining what our next matchup for high school football will be, but the next live game we'll have is next week, Friday, and we'll let you know what the matchup is going to be. But before we kind of get you our takeaways from that game and some of the other scores, I want to let you hear from what new head coach at Moanalua, Keone Batoon, had to say following that nice win to open up OIA league play. All right, Coach, wild game today. What's your overall assessment? And, of course, how does it feel to get this win to open up league play?
Feels great. You know, the boys came out, did their thing from time to time. But, you know, when it came down to it, the second half, I think we pulled together, executed the game plan, and they came out victorious.
Yeah, and what were maybe some of your main takeaways that, you know, you're going to go into this week in preparation for your next game?
Just try not to shoot ourselves in the foot. I think we left points on the board, and then just minor execution things that we got to wrap up when we tackle. We got to run to the ball better, and we just got to finish plays.
All right, and then what can you say about your guy here in Kamu Farias? I mean, what a game that he had today.
Yeah, he's been due for a breakout game. It's a long time coming for him, and it was awesome for him to do that at this game.
All right, thank you so much. Good game. And again, that was Keone Batoon, the head football coach at Moanalua, following their nice 49-35 win over Nanakuli. And again, shout out to Kamuela Farias, the 4-tutty day for the running back for Moanalua, and hence was awarded our Fun Factory VIP of the game. Again, Kamuela Farias, who we were told is one of the non-existent transfer portal people that came over.
Ops.
It's all over the place. Anyways, but Paul, what were some of your takeaways from that high-scoring game between Na Menehune and the Hawks, baby?
I think everybody was tired after the game. It was a long, long game. And that was because both teams were playing exceptionally well offensively. They were having great success both with the pass and with the run. I thought it was a fun back-and-forth game. We got a chance to see the Nanakuli tight end, Vai Fanuaia, who is committed to the University of Hawaii, and he had a couple of special moments throughout the night where I'm like, ooh, he could be fun for Timmy Chang and UH, and for whether it's Micah Alejado, whether it's Luke Weaver, whether it's Micah Eugenio, whatever it may be. He's going to be a quarterback's best friend someday, because they threw him a jump ball on a 2-point conversion where I think he had 2 or 3 guys on him, and it looked as easy as it could be. Kid is very impressive, very athletic, and I still think very, very raw. He's also a very willing blocker, which I like out of my tight ends. He's, 6'5", 240 or something like that. He moves exceptionally well. That was fun to get eyes on him. Like you mentioned before, Kamu Farias, who was just unbelievable. I mean, in the first quarter, we were not expecting him to get as many carries as he ended up getting. We thought DJ Miller was going to be the lead back for Moanalua because that's who was kind of the lead back last year. And when you return after being a lead back, typically you're going to be that guy again. And this guy just comes out of nowhere, just was phenomenal for Moanalua. And like I said, they were great both through the pass and on the run, or in the run game. Tyler Guinness Hufana did a nice job taking care of the football. That was another thing, taking care of the football. It's crazy. It's like football has all these very similar topics in general. In terms of Moanalua, that's going to be a fun team in the OIA Division I ranks this year. A really fun offense, a defense that flies around, one that definitely can get pushed around a little bit. I thought Nanakuli did have its way in the trenches, and part of that's because the Hawks have some crazy athletes in the trenches as well. But in terms of Nanakuli, I thought they showed a lot of positive stuff. It's just the defense has to be able to stop somebody. Through their first 3 games now, they haven't given up less than 30 points. Ooh. So at some point, you have to stop somebody because the offense is doing its job. So I think both of these teams are in store for some fun seasons. Moanalua gets the leg up early on. You see why they were towards the top of the OIA last year. Nanakuli, hopefully they can compete towards the middle, and they could be very, very spunky. They have some fun players. And when you have fun players, Koo, all of a sudden you have some fun games.
Yeah, like you said, just got to stop somebody, or you can just keep scoring or trying to score more than the other team because that game was down to a one-score game in the fourth quarter.
Sorry.
Just score a little bit. Or the Chiefs. Just score that one more touchdown than the other team. And there you go. Simple, easy peasy, Paul. Taking a look at some of the other scores over the weekend. Again, Moanalua over Nanakuli 49-35. You can listen to that full game on demand. But from Friday, going back there, Aiea falling to a continent team in Palos Verde 47-6. Mililani, however, beating a continent team on the continent in Coronado 39-13. Some of the other ones you had going on in the MIL, Lahaina Luna, and we talked about this. Lahaina Luna being battle tested, playing some top level Oahu schools here, in which they did get it handed to them. But now that it is the MIL time, Lahaina Luna coming out on top over Kekaulike 48-21. Waianae is just continuing to start strong, 43-8 over Radford. Another one with between Pearl City and McKinley in the OIA Division 2. Pearl City on top 34-13. Taking a look at some of the Saturday scores as well. And again, you guys can go to scoringlive.com if you want the full list of scores and the schedules, upcoming schedules for this month. Bishop Gorman, Kahuku getting shut out once again this season at home, but Bishop Gorman, powerhouse, as we know, a Hawaii commit, their quarterback for BG, Micah Eugenio, just proving that, hey, he's the guy there. So 38-0 over Kahuku for Bishop Gorman. On the continent, Kailua falling. Oh my goodness.
You got this.
It's a holiday. Falling at Liberty 33-0. High scoring game that was played at Farrington High School on Saturday. Kalani, a big win over Kaimuki 50-14. Kapolei just continuing to be their strong self as well. 35-0 over Kapa'a. Also happening on Maui. Kamehameha Schools, Maui, blanking out Maui High School 42-0. Again, if you guys want to see the full list of scores, you can go to scoringlive.com. Last but certainly not least, though, that we'll mention a game that went to overtime on Saturday on the Big Island. Kohala and Kealakahe. Woo! But Kealakahe coming out on top 36-29 in overtime. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back and get back into our University of Hawaii football conversation and get our thoughts on what we felt like the decision about what was made to play Micah Alejado. I know it's a very passionate topic for a lot of you guys that are UH football fans, and we'll let you hear a little snippet of what quarterback Micah Alejado had to say following that game at Arizona, next on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
to more Wake Up in the Den with Kukule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den, hour number 2. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani alongside Paul Brackton. This is the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel this and every Monday. Shout out to all of you guys if you're tuning in on your holiday, especially if you have the day off. Thank you for either listening live or on demand a little later, and of course tuning in on our YouTube channel right now. So shout out to all of you as we will get into some more University of Hawaii football conversation. I do need to have a disclaimer real quick though before we start getting into this hour. My longtime fantasy league that I've been in for a while, you know, apparently nobody else wants to work on this holiday because my live draft is going on right now. So if I start to get a little more tongue-tied or distracted than I usually get, of course, that is why, because my draft has started. My first pick that was up there was Saquon Barkley. Not bad, but now it's kind of like, all right, who am I going to get now? I'm still a ways away, and a lot of the guys that I was thinking of picking naturally in the snake draft, I was the third overall pick, but now I have to wait a while. So I'm just kind of tracking as this goes along. So just a disclaimer, like I said, I thought Michael was going to be here today and I could have just like handed over the second hour to you guys. But this is just, it's fine. If there's anyone that can multitask, it would be me. And this is Squirrel. So
I was going to
just
say, good luck with that one.
So we'll get just a little disclaimer for everybody that's listening or watching. If it does sound like I am distracted, that's because I am, to try to keep up with my fantasy draft, because I've been pretty competitive in this league for like going on maybe 10 years now. So we got to, and this is the one that I have the most money in. So we have to make sure that I need to take this very, very seriously and see where we draft. But I have like 2, 4, 6, 7 picks away still yet.
I have a draft later today with all my like college friends who all work in like sports media. So that's the one that I always lock in for, where it's, you can't lose that one because it's all my college friends and they will make fun of me if I lose. Just like we will make fun of whoever loses. Yes. So that one I have been preparing for. That's what those 5 drafts I had last week and over the weekend were for. Oh my God.
I hate having the this is only 12 teams, but still, I like being kind of in the middle. If it's 12 teams, I like being at the 6th pick, because when you snake it, it's like you can get pretty decent guys like when you go back and forth. But when you're like the top 3, like it's good, but then I get a little worried when it comes around the turn, because like right now I'm like seeing all of the other guys go and I'm like, getting stressed out watching this go down. All right, getting back into some University of Hawaii football. Again, we talked about it in hour number 1, of course, just our overall takeaways. Now I know kind of the controversial topic following this game is the decision to play Micah Alejado when the game started. So Paul and I were very adamant last week, where even if he is medically cleared, right? Because you're never going to play a player that isn't medically cleared. So even if he's medically cleared, but he's not necessarily feeling 100%, Paul and I were on the side of, you know what, you rest him, you heal him up some more, and get him ready for the 3-game homestand that they'll come home to. But at the same time, we are definitely not the ones that are playing. And as someone who was that person that was very highly competitive, and if I could go, I was going to go and try to play in any game because I wanted to play. I understand the decision that was made, not only by Micah, but also Timmy, because as much as we were like, well, you know, pencil this in as like maybe a loss or whatever, it'll be fine. I like to know that my head coach and my quarterback are not, and the whole team are not going into this game thinking like, oh, we're just going to check it as loss. They were going into it, who gives us the best chance to win? Micah Alejado at quarterback. So, of course,
which agreed,
the
by the way.
competitive nature that they are, they're going to play. When it was tweeted out by Steven Tsai that Micah was good to go, a part of me, though, was just thinking, okay, that means he is very, very close to being 100%. So fine, like I agree that, hey, that's kind of where he should, if he's there, then he'll be good to go, right? And then we saw what happened in the third quarter. And then we realized he is not entirely 100%. And then we hear, as we will right now, what Micah had to say in the post game, where Even he knew that maybe this wasn't this decision after the fact. But here's a small snippet of what Micah Alejado had to say following that game.
I just felt that whole drive. So, I mean, I feel good. It's just more so, just keep recovering and keep getting better. Yeah, of course it's frustrating, but it just comes with football. And, I just got to be expecting of it. And just got to do what I got to do to get better. I was good enough to go. Coach Chang allowed me to play, and, I appreciate him for that. But, at the end of the day, it probably wasn't the best decision to play. But, I was good enough to go. I stepped in my foot, heavier guys, so definitely felt it. When you put pressure on the bruise, it starts hurting. So that's just pretty much what happened. And, you got Luke in the game. Happy that he got his first reps at Division I level. And I think he did really good. Some little mistakes that happened, but, it's all a part of the learning process. So I think it was good for him to get some experience tonight.
And again, that was Micah Alejado. And just a quick comments on what he had to say following that game at Arizona. And again, hindsight is 2020, right? Obviously, you got a little more banged up, and you're going to say, like, maybe it wasn't the best decision. I know what I was told yesterday by one of our listeners that I guess some of the people, especially in the boards, were not happy because Michael Lascaro had posted some of that clip on his social media. So a lot of people were able to hear what Micah Alejado had to say. And of course, the decision that was made, and everyone's losing their mind. Again, I was losing my mind on Saturday as well. But when I had 24 hours to dissect it, I'm like, you know what? I understand it. I'm like, our quarterback and our head coach isn't going into this game in Arizona and tabbing it as a loss. Like, don't risk it. Micah gave us the best chance to win. As we saw, they were moving the ball around. They were extending drives. Like, he was doing fine until he was under pressure, right? So the fact that they made the decision for him to play, it's football. And that's, like Micah said, that's just what happens. It's unfortunate. We're hoping that he'll be good to go and it's not that serious. Obviously, we saw Luke Weaver get in there, and we have a lot of faith in his ability to be a solid quarterback, especially going into these next two games at home with Sam Houston and with Portland State, who did not have good opening weekends by all accounts. So I understand the frustration from the fans. I was sharing in that frustration on Saturday. But at the end of the day, again, our head coach and our quarterback are going to be determined to do whatever it takes to win, because they only look at the game that's happening at hand in front of them, right? And like I said, we can say all we want. Micah will, when you look back, maybe it wasn't the best decision to play, but you don't know. You want to win football games. You don't care if you're going to a power conference opponent. The goal is to win the games. And if Timmy looks at Micah said he's good to play, then you play him. He gives you your best chance. You play him. And again, as someone who is a competitive athlete and who could be a little hard head on playing through some injuries because you just know and you need to play and get in there, I get it. Like, I understand exactly where Micah's coming from. He wants to win. He's a competitor. He's not joking about how we were like, oh, maybe he should sit out and extend his winning streak of starting, right? That's not him.
Well, he was thinking about extending his winning streak of starting by starting that football game.
Exactly. And he's going to win that game. That again. And they were very, like we talked about in the first hour, they were very much in it for that first half. And second half is a different story. But like I said, I just wanted to kind of talk about it because I know everyone will be like, why do we play him? But I'm sitting here, I'm like, you know what? Yes, did I agree with the decision? No. But do I understand it? 100%. And I will double down on the fact that I'm glad that our head coach and our starting quarterback isn't thinking the same way we are and like, oh, we'll just save him and we'll just tab this. No, Luke Weaver, it's fine. Like, no, they're going to win football games.
I'll be honest, I don't know why anybody expected anything different would expect anything different. I mean, this is what Timmy Chang has shown over his first 3 years as the head man as well. I mean, how many times last year were we like, oh my God, Braden Shager is getting killed out there. It'd be good for him to sit a half, or be good for him to sit next game, or he probably won't play next game. And you know what he did? He played every game because he wanted to, because he felt that he could go, and because Timmy, as a former quarterback, understands that feeling of, if I can go, I am going to be out there and I'm going to give our team the best chance to win. Now, like you said, hindsight 2020, it's very easy to look back and be like, well, obviously, he wasn't 100%. We should have sat him, should have gone Luke Weaver all the way through. You were going to lose anyway. What the heck? Like I said in hour number one, there was a point in this game, in the first half, in the second quarter, after the first 15 minutes had elapsed, that Hawaii had an opportunity to drive down the field and take the lead in this football game. So I totally understand the thought process of, guys, we were right there. We're right there in it. If you make a couple of plays here and there, if Micah doesn't fumble here, if the defense makes a tackle here and there, whatever it may be, then maybe all of a sudden you're different going into halftime. And also, I don't know, it's super easy to be like, oh, he shouldn't have played. Obviously, he wasn't 100%. I mean, like, he's pretty close to 100%, it seems like, if he was out there, and especially if he got stepped on by a big guy. As somebody who, by the way, I did not play tackle football. I played soccer. You know what happens all the time in soccer? People's feet get stepped on. You know what sucks? When a big guy steps on your foot. And I had a teammate, love him, shout out Luke Lockley, who, I mean, we used to call him the bone cruncher, not because of anything that he did on the field of, like, you know, shouldering guys off the ball or whatever, but because he was a sturdy fella, and if he stepped on your foot, oh my God, did you know it? It smarted. And he wasn't a 250-pound, 280-pound, 290-pound, 320-pound offensive lineman, defensive lineman, whatever it may be. He was like 180, 200 pounds. You know? So I can only imagine what it's like when you're already playing with a bone bruise, when it's already like that. So in general, I did take a little bit of comfort being like, oh, he got stepped on. Like, as long as his foot's not broken, which is a big if, I suppose. As long as his foot's not broken, I'm not terribly worried about it long term. It sucks. It's annoying. It's nagging. He probably should have sat so that he'd be closer to 100% this week. But I can totally understand why he played. I can totally get it. And also, as somebody who once had a pinched nerve in his back and couldn't feel his leg and tried to play that Friday, I don't have much room to talk and be like, you got to take care of yourself. Sometimes as an athlete, if you can find a way to get out there, you're going to get out there.
Well, and I kind of want to emphasize that again so part of me, so you were saying that because he said foot, you're not as worried, but actually for me, I'm more worried when he said foot because I had, and to remind you guys, back in, it was Kealoha Polaris who was out 3 weeks for a sprained foot, and I've experienced having a sprained foot and kind of same situation. It was at soccer practice. It got stepped on. And it didn't hurt entirely that time. It hurt a little bit, but it was just a little bruise. And I'm like, okay, fine. And I was able to play through it. And it wasn't until I was playing a game, and this is soccer I'm referring to, playing a game. It was at Hilo. I remember it. And I somehow made like the nerves or whatever in my foot weaker. And one plant, I was like, whoa. And it was just like a whole shock my thing. And it was all it was a sprained foot, and my foot like swell up like crazy. Nothing was broken. I got X-rays done. It was not broken.
It's really painful.
It's crazy. So that's why I'm kind of worried. Like if it is Micah, and it's a sprained foot, we're looking at about 3 weeks. Because again, Kealoha Polaris, when he was playing at UH, was out for 3 weeks with a sprained foot. Obviously a while ago, but that is kind of because there's nothing you can really. So the sprained foot is the worst because there's really nothing you can do.
No, you just rest.
Yeah, if I can explain it, like basically every push off you make, it just shocks, like straight up. Like it's horrible. Like to me, it was worse than any ankle sprains I ever suffered. Like I just didn't think it was that bad where I thought something was broken in my foot, but X-rays done, X-rays came back negative, and it was just a sprain. And it's just, I don't know how to explain it, but especially when you play obviously a sport like football where you have to run and you just go down, it kind of explains. And I'm getting worried that if that's what it is, hopefully it is just a sprain, because if we go back to Kealoha Polaris time, 3 weeks, but nonetheless, like
Micah said it was a bruise. That's why I'm not terribly like, because I understand why a bruise would be like, but a sprain sucks.
Yeah, because seeing if it was just a bruise, I don't think he would have acted and gone down the amount of times he did in the third quarter.
I mean, he got stepped on.
No, I know, but that's if it got stepped on, it's a bruise. But like the way he couldn't even push off is like very reminiscent. And again, we're just speculating here. It could still be his ankle. Maybe he got stepped on the side of his ankle, which will hurt too. So we'll see what happens. But I'm hoping it's not a foot sprain because, like I said, he's gonna be sidelined for at least a few weeks. And it's an annoying injury to come back from, because any type of movement you make, like you can't even go and jog because it's like you just kind of push off ever so slightly on that ball of your foot which football players have to do, and it hurts tremendously, where that's all you can do is rest. Where an ankle sprain, you can kind of start to come back, walk on it. We saw Micah working out last week, so we'll see what happens. But again, I can't fault like any decision that was made, and
I get it.
It's like, I get people's frustration, but
I mean, we're on the record of saying we would have preferred, if he wasn't 100%, probably just to sit him and play Luke Weaver the full game. We are on record. Go back to last Monday and say it, or listen to it. I almost said read it. Same thing. Oh my God. But we are on record of saying that. So it's like, it's not necessarily hindsight for us, but like you've said, and like I've said multiple times now, it is an understandable decision every single time when you are competing, you are trying your best. And listen, this is a year where Timmy Chang understands there's a little bit of extra heat under his butt, right? You think he's not trying to win every single game, not trying to get every single signature victory that he can? I get it. Sometimes your emotions and sometimes your feelings and sometimes it clouds your judgment. Maybe that's what happened here. At the end of the day, I think it was a fine decision. I think it was just poor luck.
Yeah, and so we'll see what happens on this coming Saturday. Obviously, Sam Houston coming into town. Whoop. That was...
I know that sound.
It's my turn. And someone took my guy.
Where are we taking? Who's on the board? Before we go to break, who's on the board?
We got Chubba, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle.
This is kind of like that middle tier. Who were your first two picks?
AJ Brown, but I wasn't paying attention, and I accidentally have two guys already with the same bye week.
Okay,
AJ Brown and Saquon, but I have T. Higgins. But I need another receiver because I have 3 receivers in this league. So
yeah, I definitely go receiver.
Don't like maybe Devontae Smith.
Yeah, but that gives you a third Eagle Week 9 bye. We'll figure it out during the break.
No, I only have 17 seconds. Wait,
you gotta figure it out quick.
DK Metcalf and Pitt.
I can like that. I can get along with that.
All right. Well, we'll take a chance on DK Metcalf because he's probably going to be the number 1. So.
Well, he's definitely going to be the number 1.
Yeah.
They traded away George Pickens.
All right, and his bye is in 5. Okay. If you guys are just tuning in, I am currently doing a fantasy draft. So that is why I got a little distracted and I needed to talk through that real quick there just in case anything happened. But I am on the flip side, so I got to figure out my next pick as we go to break now. So we'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ule Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel. All right, we wanted to get to some of your text and comments. I know we had a text come in, and you guys can text us at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481 if you want to get in on the conversation. This one came in earlier in hour number 1. Does Hawaii have a maximum protection, leave a running back to block package, or plays to like screens? Well, they ran some screens. UCLA football got theirs. I didn't watch any UCLA football, but
better off for you, because UCLA. I mean, this is the same texter who also said they wanted to see if UCLA's quarterback is worth all that money, and I can give you the answer now. No. Kidding. Nico is fine. He wasn't great, but he wasn't horrible.
He's definitely not what they got at Cal. We're just saying over there. Let's see some of our Instagram responses. Let's see. Wide receivers looked afraid to get hit, and we need Hawaii athletes to stay in the state by any means. 100% agree with staying in the state by any means, but it's proving to be difficult. Obviously, I was kind of saying the same thing about some of the wide receivers looking afraid, because obviously we talked about the Cam Barfield thing. I think he was a little shaken up from
after
that
the first one. Yeah, I'm sure he heard footsteps.
Drop pass / it's because he jumped up in the air to try to catch that touchdown pass and just got
really
railed.
Almost held on to it too.
Yeah, railed in the back, and after that you're just mentally preparing to get hit. So for good reason, at least on Cam Barfield's part, because again, we've never played tackle football, but as someone who's gotten blindsided sometimes from some headers in soccer, you start to that kind of messes with you a little bit. But let's see another comment via our Instagram. Why they had an injured QB1 play and his injury got worse. We were talking about that in the first segment. Obviously, like if our football coach and our team are determined to put everything out there with giving us the best chance to win. So it's understandable. Again, seeing Micah go down again, I know everyone's going to be like, but hey, they're going to try to win football games.
Fine through the entire first half.
Yeah.
I used the right word. He was fine. He wasn't magical Michael. Jeez, I'm crow. He wasn't magical Micah. He's fine.
He was fine.
And that gave them a chance to almost go ahead in the second quarter.
They did. Let's see. Another comment via our Instagram. The O-line is absolutely horrible. Fire the O-line coach and find someone else to coach them. I don't think this is entirely on coaching. I just think, we still aren't even 100% healthy on the O-line. We need a lot of work. It got exposed in this game 100%. So it's just, we just need more. We just need better. We just need bodies. I don't put this on Derek Fa'avi at all. At least not yet anyways, because we just don't have the bodies. The one thing that you can always count on power conference opponents to have is just pure size in the trenches. We just got to get bigger guys.
I try and put this out every week where I have the 3 key matchups or the 3 matchups, and I try and sprinkle in little stats like that in there. Arizona has a defensive line of multiple guys over 300 pounds, multiple guys over 6'3", multiple guys who move at just an absurd pace. And like you said, this wasn't a fully healthy Hawaii offensive line. Once again, you have Kuaupeopa out, and that's your blindside guard protector for left-handed Micah Alejado. And we saw how that went against Stanford. It was rough for Judikayo. He was a little bit better this week, but not much better. And overall, you need a healthy line, and they do have to be better. I'm not going to sit here and just be like, Arizona, blah, blah, blah. They have to be better, quite frankly, and I think they would tell you that. I think we heard that from Landon Sims talking about how everybody on the offense has to do a better job, not just protecting Micah Alejado, but also Luke Weaver, it felt like, was running for his life. So the line absolutely has to get better, but also it was always going to be a tough task this week against an opponent that just is, quite frankly, bigger and more athletic than you.
Yeah. On a positive note, one of my positive takeaways that I had, someone commenting, again, this is our Instagram story replies that we kind of put out there. Kansei is going to single-handedly save the season.
He is the GOAT.
Like I mentioned, he's the only one that has scored the last 4 quarters for Hawaii, right? The second half of the previous game against Stanford and the first 2 quarters here against Arizona. So that's a fun comment that he's going to single. I mean, he did save that first game, right? And of course, all the supporting cast as well, from the snap to the hold, like that execution the fire drill execution they had in
very
that
good.
game. Yeah, so shout out to that special teams unit. Got another text. The 5 turnovers killed UH. Also 2 drop touchdown passes by Sims and Barfield. A score would have been much more respectable, in my opinion. UH could not make any mistakes to have a chance. Yeah, and that's what they did. We heard head coach Timmy Chang in the first hour talk about that, and he knows there was a ton of mistakes, and we were saying that too. You can't, when you're playing this type of level of team with this level of talent, again, albeit I don't know yet how Arizona is going to fare in the Big 12. I still think they are going to be kind of one of the bottom tier teams. No disrespect to Brent Brennan, but it's just, if Hawaii could stay in the game with Arizona like this without, if we didn't have all those self-inflicted mistakes that we had, Hawaii very much could have been in the game. And if you're at that level, supposedly the power conference, you should have already ran away with that game without all the mistakes that Hawaii had. So I don't think that they are going to be this incredible team. So I agree. It's like Hawaii very much could have been in there should they have kept a cleaner game. We talked about Barfield dropping that, but again, they're not completely innocent for some of the very awful. Well, how much did you say on PFF? 7 drop passes?
7 drop passes, according to PFF. Also, totally forgot about Landon Sims' drop touchdown. That one honestly hurt more than any other, I think, because it straight up should have been a touchdown. And Landon knows that. Like, this is not breaking any news. Like, it was one of those moments that just, on a night where nothing could go correct, it felt like just, oh, of course. So it was very disappointing, but also at the same time, like you're both saying, this was a contest that Hawaii was very much so in and competitive with for a large portion. And in that second half, it's just the mistakes ultimately mounted up too much together, and you get a score that is much uglier than what the actual result was in my opinion, 3 quarters-ish of this game.
Yeah.
Who'd you get?
Sorry, no, my computer froze for a little bit. I'm like,
Well, you looked excited at first. I thought you were getting somebody.
No. I still have a few more picks, so hopefully this person is available. Let's see. Another text that came through. At what point do you make Micah a business decision? We see defenders in basketball step aside. We all know Micah is being paid a pretty penny. Would hate for those who invested in him only get 2 to 3 games because of an injury that could be avoided. Now, see, this is the part that I do dislike about college sports, because I hate thinking about it in that terms, like, oh, like how we look at the NFL, right? Like where it's like all this money and like, oh, they're pretty much like not getting their money's worth if they're unhealthy. At the end of the day, or at the beginning of the day, really, their job is to win football games. And so, like, I understand. I understand the text, but I don't like looking at it in the sense of like, oh, well, people who invested in him and he's not playing, right? If he gets hurt playing football, the thing that people want to see him play, like that's just part. And Micah said that, like, it's football, it's part of the game. It's not looking at it the same situation like when people invest in certain athletes and they transfer, like that. I understand to be upset, but if Micah gets hurt trying to win football games, like this is the sport that they signed up for. Like, obviously I'm not someone that did put a pretty penny for Micah. So those that do, I'm sure you can feel a certain way, but.
Well, of course you want to see him play.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like you said, some of these things can't be avoided. I do understand the sentiment of the text.
Yeah.
I don't think it is totally out of bounds.
No,
because
whatsoever.
It's what we talked about last week, making a business decision, sitting him this week so that you could have him closer to 100% for the future. But that is what my philosophy is. It's not what the coaching philosophy is. And also, I'll say this, like, I trust this coaching staff to make the best decision for the players one way or another, and also allow the players to make decisions for themselves, because as much as I am connected and as much as I do think I am aware of what's going on and how healthy people are and yada, 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 nobody knows better than the coaches and the players themselves, the people who are actually living through it. Micah knows best if he can actually withstand pressures and if he can withstand getting hit and whatever. I don't think he planned on getting stepped on. And I do think, and that's what I'm going to continue to go on over and over again, which is I do believe he was healthy enough to play after watching that first half. He wasn't 100%, but at the end of the day, you take the chance, and if he gets stepped on, it's unfortunate. Now, of course, the question becomes, like our texter said, is it now an injury that could have been avoided, one that it has worsened what the ankle was and added something on top of it with a foot injury, and now he misses 2, 3, 4, 5 games, and then maybe you have taken yourself out of potential Mountain West contention. That's when it becomes even more frustrating, and I think that is more where this text is coming from. Totally understand that. I also don't like to think of it in that sense, but that's just because I'm an old timer, and I'm like, I hate to think of it in general. Like
we don't like to think of it the same with and at the same time, again, it is football. It's a dangerous sport. Like, sure, if you're going to get paid to sacrifice your body all the time, then by all means, right? But like I said, I understand the sentiment of the texter about getting paid a pretty penny and all that stuff. But to kind of agree with Paul's point, a business decision in the sense of only looking at purely for having him healthy in future games. You guys heard us talk about it all last week, but as I've been saying on the show, I can't be upset with Micah or the coaching staff either way because I was that player. I've never coached at that level to make a decision like that, to play this and to take that risk. I can't imagine what Timmy was thinking about, right? But at this level of football, you have every game is essentially a must win, especially to try to get you into a bowl game. Because as much as we want to be optimistic and they'll win all the home games, that's you need to win football games.
Yeah, you got to win football games. And at the end of the day as well, and I said this in hour number 1, Timmy has shown us up to this point, he is an incredibly trusting coach with his starting quarterback. And this is now multiple years of this. If the starting QB says, Coach, I can go, I can play, I'm good, Timmy is going to give him a chance to play. He did it with Braden Shager last year. He's done it now with Micah Alejado this year. And once again, I understand the question will be, does the coach have a responsibility to protect the player from themselves? That is an absolutely fair question. It's a difference in philosophy for different people. And at the end of the day, you take certain risks, and sometimes it blows up in your face, and sometimes it pays off big time. Because I think you could make a very similar case to the second half of the Stanford game, right? Mm-hmm. Very easily could have been you should sit him, play Luke Weaver, and, Micah's the franchise. You want him healthy for conference play. But then you also might not have had what was a very exciting, exhilarating finish that was a victory in the end. So I get from both sides. I think hindsight's 20/20. I think it's difficult in general, and you just hope for the best for Micah.
Yeah, so we'll continue to try to keep you guys updated on this coming week and see what happens in some of these media availabilities again this week as Hawaii prepares for Sam Houston. But a lot of fun other college games that went on, including Sam Houston being in action against UNLV. So when we come back, we'll talk more about some of the other scores and games that went on as college football is officially back, everybody. I love this time of year. It's just like Christmas. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Who sniped you?
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ule Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network and streaming live on our YouTube channel. So thank you guys for tuning in. Shout out to Oz from Sunnydale saying that we're having a good and really thoughtful discussion about UH football. We appreciate you and glad you're enjoying it as well. I am a little distracted because my pick's coming up and I'm currently doing a fantasy draft right now. And I was able to draft Mr. Travis Swift, so that's good.
That's good.
Because I do think the Chiefs are going to be a lot better and more productive offensively than they were last year. So I think he's going to have this resurgence. And
you don't think he'll be distracted wedding planning?
No. I mean, our girl isn't touring right now, so she'll be fine. She'll be the supportive future wife that,
I can imagine that she probably is pretty good at planning as well. She's got this thing. I don't know if you're familiar with this ability to string together great plans greatly in the future.
But I was eyeballing, so I got sniped already. I didn't think anyone was going to go for defense this early, but I was.
What round are you in?
I am. What is this? 7.
Yeah. Who went for defense that early? What the heck?
Well, I was going to go defense just because it's Philadelphia.
Defense? Okay, I mean,
my guy Vic Fangio, man.
That's like tough still because they're in a division with the Commanders, who you get worried about. I think the Giants' offense will be a little bit better this year. They have a brutal schedule. Like maybe you're dodging a bullet.
No, yeah, exactly. I'm like, this okay. They made my decision. They made my decision for me, so it's fine. I did get our guy Baker Mayfield as my quarterback again. So we'll probably go for another receiver. So hopefully no one snakes me in this. I'm kind of eyeballing Deebo Samuel. Chris Olave is still available, but I don't know how much I believe in Spencer Rattler at this point. So we'll see what happens. But I'm a few picks away, so I might get a little distracted. But fortunately, I'm sitting next to a guy who can talk a lot of football with you, so it's like going to be. I'm on the quick turn, so it's like I'll pick in about like 5 more picks, and then get like the reverse as I am the 3rd overall pick in this 12-team league right now. So we're hoping that I can get some backup receivers because I wasn't entirely paying attention in the beginning. I accidentally drafted like a couple of guys in the same bye week, which is something I never do. That usually helps me make my decision on who I'm taking, even if some guy is ranked a little higher than the other. I kind of try to plan around the bye weeks. I usually recommend you guys do that too, because that's how I've been able to overtake and kind of surge ahead in some of these leagues that I play in, because a lot of people don't think that way, or at least the guys I play against in my league. And so when it gets to that bye week, I pretty much start beating everybody because I've already prepared accordingly. But anyways, I got distracted and it totally messed me up, and I have multiple people in this bye that I'm trying to work around. Anyways, all right, getting into some college football scores, as I will kind of send it over to you, Paul, a little bit, because I'm coming up on my pick, and I will let Paul kind of talk about this game first. As we mentioned earlier, Jaren Keave Sangapolutele, true freshman status, leading the Cal Bears to a win over Oregon State, a game in which Oregon State was the 1.5-point favorite for a little while, and then it kind of switched to Cal being the favorite by only 1.5 points, but easy cover, 34-15 again against the Beavers, and what a showing by the young quarterback, someone that Paul is like all giddy about having him have that type of first game, because Paul finally got his experience with potentially covering someone in high school and who is showing the talent so far. I know it's still early. It's only the first game of the season, but could potentially show that talent in the future that he could potentially be playing in the NFL one day. So Paul's really giddy about that performance by Jaren Keave Sangapolutele.
Hell yeah, I am. I'm pumped. One, it's nice whenever our guys from Hawaii, whenever they go anywhere and they do well. Like, obviously, all of us are rooting for that. That was something that I saw fans were pumped when he was named the starter, and I'm talking like people here in Hawaii were pumped when he was named the starter. He can be the next, great one to come out of the islands, and all the different hyperbole that you want. doesn't feel so hyperbolic after the first weekend that you actually see him on the field. And really, it was just vindicating for me because I sat there and I watched him torch this Oregon State defense. Now, Oregon State, I think you got a lot of questions over there. I think that not totally sure what this season is going to entail for them. And I saw a lot of Oregon State fans talking a lot of smack before this game. So I don't know. Maybe this will put you back into your place. But just in general, I mean, Jaren, the throws that this guy is making as a true freshman, I was texting this in our group chat, like, Cal's got to, they got to keep him, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't be terribly worried about that. They got to keep bringing in guys who can catch the football for him because he was putting these throws on the money. His numbers, 20 of 30 for 234 yards and 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Average per throw, 11.7 yards per catch. That's insane. He had a crazy, crazy first day, and it should have been better. Like, it should have been better. He had probably 3-4 drops that were, like, brutal.
Oh, drops.
Yeah, crazy. Who would have ever seen that coming? Not to mention, he also had a couple of scrambles, a couple of runs that were pretty good. He ran for another 30 yards, 25-yard scramble. He had led an end-a-half scoring drive that, a scramble field goal for Cal as well. He looked mature beyond his years out there. It was awesome to see. It was vindicating for somebody like me who has sat here and been like, this kid is different. Like, I've seen college players, I've seen special players before, not quite the way that he plays. And now everybody is taking notice. Like, everybody. I said it before, Pat McAfee was talking about him on the show this morning, and it was close. Songapoluteli, not Sagapoluteli.
And it is funny how a lot of people are throwing that out there like, oh, do they have the money to keep him? One, I'm pretty sure Ron Rivera and co can find money in the Bay Area to throw at Jaren Keave Songapoluteli. But two, the kid's already been tested. So I know a lot of people are new to this storyline with Jaren, and you could tell by social media, but we all knew. I mean, he was going to go to Oregon. That Nike money is real. There's tons of money over there. He was almost going to go to Georgia, right? Like, they got a lot of money to throw into football, but he ended up sticking with Cal after that last-minute decision, which I loved for him. I said it when he made that decision to stay. I'm like, all right, that's like perfect for him to stay. Oh, no, did someone drop? Like, dang it. Sorry, I got snaked. And I'm like, Sorry.
Either way.
Okay, either way. All right. Now I don't pick for a while, so I'll be completely paying attention probably from now till the end of the show. So we're good. Okay. But no, like with Jaren Keave, like he already was quote unquote tested. So I think he's very happy there at Cal. Again, Nick Rolovich, I mean, thanks a lot, Nick, for doing, whatever you're doing over there at Cal behind the scenes. But it's just, he's in a good place at Cal, and I think I hope, and I believe he will stick it out there. And like you said, Paul, though, it's like now it's their job to kind of work on the pieces around Jaren now, where it's not just the receivers, but obviously your offensive line, you can always shore that up as much as possible to like.
I mean, the line did a great job too, because Jaren was not sacked a single time in his debut on the road as well. That's another thing that we shouldn't just toss by the wayside. That like this was such and I'll go through some more stats. I'm a big PFF guy if people haven't noticed quite yet. According to PFF, Jaren, in his first college start, made 5 big-time throws and had 0 turnover-worthy plays. That is absurd for a true freshman. That's absurd for anybody. But for a true freshman, I mean, he might have been the best quarterback this weekend.
Probably.
Like, period? Just in college football? I don't know if that's crazy to say. He's got an argument for it at the very least.
We definitely saw the Heisman odds start to already move around. Obviously, we know what happened with Arch Manning and that whole thing. I honestly don't think Arch Manning, I think he's still a great quarterback.
A lot of people are going to struggle against that Ohio State defense.
Yeah, I was like,
tell you that right now.
It was just he's a good, I think he's a solid quarterback. This is like his first like full like being QB1. So it's like
he's
naturally
also tanking his draft stock so he can be a Jet.
But according to his grandpa, yeah, Grandpa, he's not going to be in the draft
Yeah,
this
and
year.
Arch said, I don't know why my grandpa said that. So clearly he wants to be a Jet. That's
so
what I heard.
Arch is fine, but we already saw his drafts, or not draft, but his Heisman odds kind of fluctuate a little bit. But hey, it's only a matter of time until we see Jaron like start moving up in there, I think this is going to be a really fun season. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll close it out with a little bit more college football talk and recapping week 1, get you some Mountain West scores and some of the games that I was able to kind of hop into and watch. And yeah, closing out with more football on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ule Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, closing it out here on your Labor Day holiday. But thank you guys for if you're tuning in live, especially on this holiday and watching on our YouTube channel. And thank you for hanging out with us as we are closing it out here. If you missed any part of the conversation, we talked, of course, a lot about the Hawaii football game at Arizona in both hour number 1 and earlier in this hour. So you can always go back and watch it on demand on our YouTube channel or listen, of course, wherever you get most podcasts or at our website at hawaiisportsradio.com. But I want to close out with some of the other week 1 games that happened in the Mountain West, especially. As I mentioned earlier, there were a couple of teams going at it that Hawaii plays quite soon, actually. So on Friday, UNLV able to beat Sam Houston in Houston 38-21. I didn't really get to watch a significant portion of that game, but their quarterback, though, I forget his name now, Colin Drea or something. He actually got Mountain West Offensive Player of the Week honors. Anthony Colindrea. He actually looks like a pretty solid quarterback there for UNLV. So that was probably my key observation. Again, this was Friday, so we're kind of setting up for a high school broadcast, and I was trying to peep him on some of these games. So he is someone on the UNLV side that I think we're going to prepare for. Sam Houston didn't really get to take note too much of what they put forward. But again, UNLV, as to be expected, they were able to convincingly beat Sam Houston after a close win over Idaho State last week. The game that really stood out to me, though, is that close loss by San Jose State to Central Michigan at home. San Jose State, they don't got our Kanze Matsuzawa because they missed 2, not 1, but 2 field goals within the last like minute and a half of that game. The first field goal I think was like 33 yards, so probably should have made that one. The other field goal was definitely just trying to go through that walk-off as time was expired, so I think it was like 56 or something, so understandable, but missed the last 2 field goals. I do think Walker Eget, he's not as good as I thought he would be, and maybe I don't want to knock Central Michigan, right? Like they're a solid team as well. But if we're thinking about what Hawaii has to worry about, not only that entire defense, it's me throwing it on the universe now early before anybody does, because Scudero, I think, is the slot receiver for San Jose State. He was someone that I'm like, all right, yeah, Danny Scudero, seeing what I saw from this Hawaii defense against Arizona and all those missed tackles, like Arizona did not have a guy that like what I saw from Danny Scudero for San Jose State. He just has kind of like that really quick, like accelerating speed that if we cannot tackle that guy, he is going to torch us. And by us, I mean obviously our defense for the University of Hawaii football team. So he's someone that I would recommend some people paying attention to with San Jose State when it comes to their offense. And what my big takeaway was from this first week watching some of these Mountain West games of college football is like, ooh, he kind of scares me in terms of what I've been seeing or what I saw from the defense against Arizona, and Arizona not having a guy like that, where we missed one tackle of Scudero, and we are going to have a difficult one against San Jose State. I know that's a far ways away from now, but you heard it here first that I'm pointing out that kid early on at San Jose State. Some of the other games that went down, no surprise, Nevada just got torched by Penn State 46-11, but it was at Penn State, difficult to play. We talked about that. Same thing, New Mexico opening up at Michigan, 34-17.
Thought they actually had a really nice performance.
Yeah, this is actually pretty decent, even though the score doesn't like indicate it. Playing at Michigan is always going to be tough, and it was was respectable.
I think it was 27-17 in the fourth quarter, like relatively late in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Like New Mexico was competitive into the second half with a ranked Michigan team. I thought it was a really nice showing, especially under new leadership at New Mexico after you lose your quarterback from last year. That's the guy who went to Utah, Devin Dampier, who was awesome. And you also lose your head coach, guy who went to Utah State. So yeah, we hate Utah apparently. If I'm a New Mexico fan, I hate that state. But overall, thought the Lobos had a pretty good first weekend. I
guess
week
for them it's opening.
I don't. It's weird, right?
Well, for them it's opening weekend
because you have the week 0 stuff, and it's like whatever. For week 1's weekend, I thought New Mexico looked pretty solid.
Yeah. Another team, too, interesting matchup here with Utah State. Again, it's kind of like the tag team out because Utah State played UTEP, who will come into the Mountain West, but then Utah State is exiting. But nonetheless, Utah State able to beat UTEP 28-16. Air Force over Bucknell 49-13. No surprise there. Fresno State able to get their first win of the season. Again, we play Fresno State in a few weeks over Georgia Southern 42-14. And Washington over Colorado State 38-21. Now, today, though, is an interesting game. We still got more college football to close out the week. That's crazy. So, like, tomorrow we'll talk more about the other college football games, and curious to see what happens this afternoon in the return of Bill Belichick. But return of Bill Belichick in college football. That's right. North Carolina in action today against TCU. That game, 2:00 p.m. on ESPN television. And I'm very curious to see what we get in this North Carolina game. And TCU, they're always going to be solid. But what does Bill Belichick bring forward now? Not only that, but they also have, we talked about it before, where Michael Lombardi, who we used to hear on VSiN a lot, he is their general manager at North Carolina now.
No Patty Mills.
No Patty Mills. But this is going to be kind of... I like how the scheduling went on for this college football time because, again, like I love college football. So the fact that we are ending week 1 with this potentially new Bill Belichick era, I don't know how long of an era it'll be, but nonetheless an era. I still can't believe Bill Belichick coaching college football right now. Like, I am so curious, but shout out to the scheduling people that this is how we're ending week 1 of college football. Hopefully it's a good game. Yeah, standalone game.
I love it. Oz from Sunnydale asked for our predictions for this game, or if we have any predictions for this game. I'm going UNC 24-17 over TCU. Think it's going to be a fun back and forth game. Think the UNC defense will be solid. That's just kind of Bill Belichick's calling card, and I think they'll be able to put up enough points against TCU, and a solid TCU unit at that. Realistically, you got no idea. I'm pretty sure that the Tar Heels brought in like 70 transfers this offseason, which is absurd. There's my prediction for you. Caesar said 24-21 UNC wins.
Ooh. Now, TCU, yes, is the 3.5-point favorite. Total set at 53.5. Let's see. Okay, yeah, you said Oz is going UNC. I'm not going to knock a more solid college football team in a sense, or program right now. I know Bill Belichick was good at,
I understand.
NFL. I got to go with TCU until UNC proves otherwise. So,
what's you got a score for us, or are you just going with TCU straight up?
Sorry, I was trying to see where I pick in my draft before we end this.
It's understandable.
I am going to go with TCU. I'm just going to go with TCU to cover.
All right, sounds good.
Can't get the final score. I'm doing two things at once right now.
Totally fine.
But TCU to cover that 3.5. But you know what? I'm going to be excited to talk about whatever happens in this game tomorrow.
It'll be a good time. 2 p.m. Hawaii time, because that was also asked in the chat. You're correct, Oz.
Yep, so you can watch it on ESPN television. But we got to go and wrap it up here. So we appreciate you guys for watching and tuning in, especially on this holiday. Thank you for hanging out with us. We'll have more football talk tomorrow. And of course, we didn't get to soccer, but for now, we got to go. For Paul Brecht, I'm Ku'ule Agbayani. Mahalo for listening and watching. It's been Wake Up in the Den. Bye.